I hope you can't hear that. I just scratched my head.
Every time with the bullshit. Okay. Why do you do this every time? You were so ashamed.
I just can't help it.
All right, I'm Brittany.
And I'm Chrissy.
And this is the Tattletales Podcast. Good morning, Chrissy.
Good morning, Brittany.
How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm all right.
You know, a little sleepy, a little hungry.
Okay. So, last week, we talked about Princess Diana.
We did.
And then the week before that, which I still think we need to go in and do a shorter video on her, like the conspiracy surrounding her death. I think that would be good. But the week before that, we did Bill and Monica.
Oh, Bill.
Today, we're doing Tonya Harding and Nancy Kerrigan. And they kind of tie in. I didn't know. It's very insignificant, but at the end, it's really, I'll just have to tell you, like,
I have no
they
idea.
they don't really tie in, but one of the people from the Bill and Monica thing kind of shows up
No way.
in this one. And I had no idea. So the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to go through Tonya and like her upbringing and all that, and then Nancy's, and then we'll get to the attack. Okay. It's not funny, but like when I think of it, all I think of is that video of Nancy sitting there, and she's like, "Why? Why?" And I watched an interview later, and she said people roasted her for that, and she was like, "I think that was a legitimate question at the time." So we're gonna start with Tonya. Okay, so Tonya was born November 12th, 1970. She was born in Oregon. She was poor. Just kind of had it rough. Mm-hmm. She was mostly raised by her mom when she was younger because her dad supposedly had a bad back and was out of work a lot. Her mom was a waitress, but she's trying to basically support a family of 3 on that salary. So she had it hard. She said her and her mom did not have a good relationship. She says that her mom was married 5 times before she was even born.
Oh my gosh.
So I think her mama has relationship issues with everybody.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it kind of seemed that way. Her mom was physically and verbally abusive to her, she says. She said in an interview when she was probably 16, 17. It wasn't really an interview, but they had a camera in her face and she was talking to him about her mom. Mm-hmm. She said she's not a good mom. She said she drinks too much and she's abusive. She beats me.
She said that publicly?
Yes, with a camera in her face. So I was like, dang. But it was said that her mom was really smart and articulate. So
she could pass.
That made her even more like scary, like a scary person in Tonya's life, because it's one thing to just be an alcoholic asshole, but it's another thing to be smart and like conniving and know how to work people, and her mom was. So I think that kind of made it a little worse, I guess. So she says that, she's poor, basically. And she talks about how figure skating is expensive. And she said that a lot of people would make fun of her. They would call her poor. They would call her poor white trailer park trash. Because then in this interview, and this was an ESPN interview, or not an interview, but like a documentary where they were interviewing her. And it's old. And I'll link that. Like I'll put that in the sources or whatever. But she's probably 30 something at the time, but she still tries to clarify that she never lived in a trailer park. Like you can tell that bothered her. She said, I might have lived in a trailer, but it was on my own property. It was on our own property. We never lived in a trailer park. So it's almost like she's still letting that trailer park thing bother her, even at that age. And that was sad. Sad. She said that she had to go walk to take showers. I'm not sure if she had to go to somebody else's house.
So they had it
or
bad.
What, but she didn't even have working showers. She went to school in homemade clothes.
I wonder how they had the money for her to ice skate.
I don't know. Well, her mama says later that it was all her, but we'll get to that. She said that her and her dad liked to hunt and fish, so she said they relied heavily on that for food. Like, it was kind of like it was bad. And she started skating when she was around 3. She started lessons, and then she won her first little competition at 3. It was like in Idaho, just like a little kid thing, you know. But I think that kind of set the picture for her future. A lot of people in the documentary that I watched kept talking about how she just didn't fit the mold. She had all this talent, but she didn't have that little prissy, feminine quality about her. One of her former agents, his name's Greg Lewis, he's talking on the thing, and he says that her upbringing didn't really lend itself to the idea of like the ice princess. So she was always kind of on the outside because of that. Like when you think figure skater, you think like almost like Disney princess, like beautiful, soft, feminine, and she couldn't be that because she was struggling just to make ends meet. She had to go hunt her food, basically. Yeah. So it's like she just...
And it's like they just counted her out because she wasn't a little feminine, you know? Yeah. I don't know, it's kind of unfair.
It is very unfair.
You know they got in her head, too.
Oh, yeah. You can tell by some of the stuff she says later on, and I'll get to it, but, like, it's just really sad. I never really knew that she had... Like, I'm not trying to defend what... I think she did have a bigger part in the whole thing than she said, and I'm not trying to defend that, but she had it pretty rough. So she says when she was younger, she almost gave up on it because she said it was right when she first started, I guess. She was at this little competition and she said that she went out, she did 1 lap around the rink, and then she was like, it's too cold, I ain't doing it. Oh, wow. And she was upset. Like, she really liked it, but it was just too cold for her. So she said she went back to her mom, and her mom started taking her skates off, and she's upset and she's crying. And she said one of the little girls that she was supposed to be competing against walked in and started laughing at her and said, well, at least I don't have to compete against you anymore. Oh. And she said that was it. She said she wiped her tears, she had her mama put her skates back on, and she went out, and
that girl changed her whole,
probably changed her life.
Yeah.
Because just with that one comment, because if she hadn't went back out, she probably wouldn't have kept doing it.
It's almost like that little girl was meant to do that, to change, because if she was going to give up.
It's really strange. But she said that, they said in the interview, the documentary had a lot of like producers for other documentaries and like her old like coaches. It was just kind of random people that were involved then. But they said that before her 10th birthday, that she was able to perfectly execute jumps that like even adults couldn't do. So this girl is just like... She's talented. Yeah, like you said, I feel like she was kind of looked over just because she didn't fit that pretty girl. Yeah. Or not even pretty girl. She was beautiful, but like the prissy...
And her being poor, too,
Yeah. So when she's 15, her parents get a divorce. She said her mom came into the house, took everything, looked at her dad and said, I don't want her, you can have her, and left.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
She says later on in an interview... I think the interview was in 2018. Now, the ESPN documentary is old. She was probably 30s then, and she's probably pushing 50 or... Mm-hmm. I'm not sure how old she is now, but she's probably close to 50, but she looked so good.
Really?
Like, she didn't look bad in the ESPN one, and it was older footage, so it could have been that. Mm-hmm. But she just looked sad. She didn't look happy. She just was she was kind of defeated. You could just tell. But now, like, she looks really good.
I haven't seen her in like...
Yeah, she looks good. And she said that... okay, so there's this movie called I, Tonya, where I think the woman's name... I think it's that Margot Robbie girl that is in that one movie. She is playing her in the movie. I haven't seen it yet either, but it's out. And she said... Or it was said in that 2018 interview, it was like with ABC or something... that movie does a really good job of like portraying her rough relationship with her mom. She said, she was asked in that interview, how did they do? And she said, she said first, like the woman asked, what kind of mom was she? And she responded by saying, not a good one. And then she said, but she does think she did the best she knew how. She's just,
Yeah, trying to defend her a little bit.
Yeah. But her mom had said in a previous interview that, like, when she was still skating, that if you don't approach her with a "you can't do this" attitude, that she won't do it. She said she would be nothing. She literally said she would be nothing.
Like, she has to have the challenge.
Yeah. Her mom's name is Lavana, and she said in that same interview they talked to her, she insisted that she was not abusive. She said she spanked, because you have to teach a kid right from wrong and they have to learn their lessons, but she wasn't abusive. And then she says that she worked around the clock to pay for Tonya's skating lessons. So I wonder too, she said that there's one, Tonya just said that the woman did an incredible job portraying her mom on that movie. She said fabulous, it couldn't have been better. But there's one in particular incident where they talk about, it's constantly brought up, of her mom at a competition dragging her into the bathroom and beating her with a hairbrush. Oh my God. And her mom did say, yes, there was one time at a competition that I hit her with a hairbrush. That was the main one that Tonya like talked about. So I'm like, and that's in public. Yeah. She did that in public because that's like in the bathroom at a competition. So it's like other people probably saw that.
So she had owned up to that one.
Yeah, yeah. But she, to this day, claims I was not abusive. You know, I worked as hard as I did to put her through. And I wonder too if maybe she did work constantly to pay for all that. And I wonder if maybe she didn't feel like Tonya owed it to her to perform perfectly. She said the reason she beat her with the hairbrush is because she wasn't landing her jumps. So
can you imagine?
I know. So I'm wondering, like, okay, did her mom?
She felt
almost feel entitled, like
entitled,
you know,
like
I'm paying for this. I'm working so hard for this. You better do it right.
You better.
You know, which is shitty. But I wonder if that might be, you know.
I mean, the pressure that she was under. If you're gonna get your ass beat, you know. Besides just the pressure of doing good.
Yeah, she just had it. She had it hard, man. Okay, so then there's another documentary which I didn't watch because I looked at a lot of stuff, but then stuff starts to repeat a lot.
Yeah.
And this one is called Truth and Lies, the Tonya Harding story. I want to watch that.
I'd kind of like to watch a couple of them, you know?
But I hadn't yet. Okay, so then there's this woman. Her name is Diane. I thought I had her last name, but I don't remember it. But she was like a big-time skater. Everybody knew her. She did lessons. Everybody was kind of scratching to get lessons with her because she was like the best of the best or whatever. And they talked to her in the documentary, and she keeps making kind of like snarky comments. She's like, oh, poor Tonya, you know, and then she's saying that skating, she's literally said skating is her ticket out of the gutter, and that skating would make her a worthwhile person in the community. And I'm like, who the fuck do you think you are? Like, just because she's not skating doesn't mean that she, first of all, out of the gutter is offensive. To say you're getting somebody out of the gutter, like she might have it a little rougher than other people, but the gutter?
What damn?
No. And then like her saying that it would make her a worthwhile person. Well, I'm sure if she wasn't skating, she wouldn't out here she wouldn't be out here just raising hell and not making any, like, you know, I don't know.
I feel like too that's a way kind of to bring somebody down, to intimidate them so that they don't do well.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like a lot of people that talk about her, even like then, are just
kind of cruel.
They are. Yeah. It's like because she
didn't have money,
was kind of poor and didn't have it handed to her and had to, I don't know. I just don't like the way a lot of these people talk. So
and they're comfortable doing it.
Yeah.
You know? It's just not okay.
Yeah. A lot of people said that normally, or no, I think Tonya actually said this. She said that normally you have to be pretty good before you can even start taking lessons and skating with Diane. But she said that she was lucky because Diane saw something in her and just chose to work with her and stuff. But they said that Diane kind of knew that she could dress her up, she could teach her what she knew, fix her hair, do her makeup. But she said specifically, she said she couldn't stop her from talking to the other competitors about things like fixing cars and engines and motors and transmissions, because that's what she did.
That's what she had to talk about.
You know, her dad, she's kind of a tomboy, and that's just what she knew. So it's like you can put a dress on her, you can fix her hair and her makeup, but she's still gonna go out here and talk about cars and hunting.
She's still gonna be a tomboy. Yeah.
And a lot of people obviously doubted her. And then a lot of people also say that the rage from that is what fueled her to perform so well. So it's like it's almost like she did have to be mad. Like when she went onto the ice to do her best, she had to be like pissed off and think like she has something to prove to somebody.
Yeah.
So it got to the point where there was a story going around, I don't know if it was true, but they said the story was going around that her coaches paid her competitors like $5 to go up and tell her she was a has-been, she was nothing, she wasn't going to be successful, just because that's what it took for her to go out there and do her best.
I mean, it's kind of mean, but it's smart. You know?
I mean, if it worked, you know, it just seems like she's been through so much that it's like, if she doesn't feel like she has to fight for something or fight to prove something, it's not worth it to her.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. But because she was so good and she was such like a relatable girl, she like her popularity in Portland like skyrocketed. People saw her as a regular girl. She didn't have a perfect home life. She wasn't rich and, you know, like feminine and sweet. And she wasn't like this perfect girl. She was just, I think people could probably relate to her more, you know, than some others. And they looked at her like as just this normal girl that's on a journey to like become the best at her sport. And she said that she realized after a while that what it was going to take to make people like really shut up and just notice her talent was she was going to have to do something that hadn't been done before. And that was the triple axel. And this triple axel it's what gets her every freaking time. So she's constantly like clawing to try to get in the Olympics. That's her thing. She's wanting to make, that's everybody's thing.
Yeah.
They're wanting to make it to the Olympics. So in 1988, she misses the jump, which knocks her to 4th place.
Oh, no.
If she had been 3rd place, she would have got to go to the Olympics because that bumped her to 4th place. She didn't get to go.
She was 18 when she was doing that?
I think 18. She was around that age. I'm not exactly sure what age it was. She claimed to think that she missed her spot at the Olympics because she said they didn't want somebody who could jump and spin and skate fast. They wanted a lady to represent them, which I wonder if it's a little bit of sour grapes.
I started to say, I wonder if it's true.
They did say that the judges and stuff would go around and talk to the women and ask them about their hair and their makeup and why they chose these skates and are their skates polished and this and that. But it's like if she knew that, that's part of the competition. So I'm
just
I don't
play
know.
the part, you know.
Yeah. But she said, you know, I think she's just trying to, yeah. But who knows? She said, or it said that this kind of, it like tore down. She was tore down. So she ends up running to the only person really that she could find that was paying her any attention at the time. And at 19, she married a man named Jeff Gillooly.
Not Gillooly.
Now, Gillooly's a bitch, okay? Well, I don't know if he's a bitch or not. I shouldn't say that, but he comes across as a bitch. So she drops out of high school her sophomore year. And I guess she probably dropped out of high school before she married Gillooly because she was 19. Mm-hmm. Don't think she would be a 19-year-old sophomore. But either way, she drops out of school her sophomore year to focus on her career as a skater. Not sure if she like ever went back and got like, you know, completed that or got her GED or whatever. But she starts working her way up, skating, whatever. And in 1989, she won the Skate America competition. Well, in 1991, she earns the distinction as being the first American woman to successfully land that triple axel. So she gets it in competition, and she's only the second woman to do it in history, behind a woman named Midori Ito. She's from somewhere else. I don't know where. And she said in that competition, she got a standing ovation. And she said that's when she knew she was the best. That's what she said. She knew she was the best.
Can you imagine that feeling? Like, you know?
In that documentary, she gets emotional and is like apologizing to the people she's talking to about getting emotional about it. She said she never really gets to talk about that stuff because when she sits down with people, all they want to talk about is what happened. Yeah. They don't ever want to hear about, you know, how it felt to land the jump and know you were the, like, they don't ever ask her about that. It's all, it's all about, well, let's talk about this, you know.
Yeah.
So in 1991, she became the 91 and the 1994 U.S. champion, but eventually she stripped of that title.
They took it from her?
1994, yes.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So in 1992, the Albertville, France Olympics are approaching, and everybody knows, like, it's a sure thing for Tonya. She's already landed that triple axel. She's got it down. She, like, everybody just knows she's going to the Olympics.
Yeah.
Well, she missed her landing, broke her skate, and then that kind of shook her, and she ended up not landing the triple axel. And that kept her out of the Olympics. There were, I think it was 3 or 4 times that she was out on the ice and her skates broke or her shoelaces broke. It's weird. It's like stuff kept happening with her skates.
I wonder if somebody sabotaged them.
I don't know. I kind of wondered that too, because it's like they were talking about it like that never happens. And it's like, how does it keep happening to this girl?
Unless she's like, it's a cheaper quality if she couldn't afford, you know?
I don't know.
It's weird,
but because of that, like, it just shakes her a little bit. She ends up not doing it, and then she's out of that. She doesn't make it to that Olympics. So it kind of comes into her mind that the 1994 Olympics are her last chance. Like, I don't know if maybe she was getting a little older. Mm-hmm. It was just like that was it for her. She said she was ready. Skating is all she had. She was an assistant manager at a restaurant, and she skated. She said she didn't have anything else. That was all she had. So she decides that she's going to try to make it to the 94 Olympics. But she said in order to do that, she knew she was going to have to make some life changes. One of those life changes was booting Ogilvy out. She was not happy with him. She didn't love Ogilvy. She said their marriage was strained. She just decided to leave him. So in 1993, she divorced him. She said that she had been told her whole life by her mom that she was never going to amount to anything. She wasn't good enough, and she'd had enough of it. So I'm wondering, he probably said shit like that to her, too. I didn't see that, but I imagine with her kind of relating the two, he probably said stuff like that to her, too. She leaves Galooly, but then she says that the United States Figure Skating Association pressured her to get back with him. She said that they told her that if she wasn't with him, that she wouldn't get the marks that she deserved because she wouldn't then be the picture-perfect girl. So I guess they want some perfect little...
Like if she was divorced.
Yeah, some perfect little woman with a perfect little family.
Oh my gosh.
And they said that she would get marks taken off.
Is that true?
I don't know.
That's crazy.
That's what she said. But she said that she skates in like the whatever to determine who gets to go, and she said that she placed third, but then they told her they were only taking 2 people to the Olympics, so that she might need to get some kind of control, I guess, of her life outside of skating, or she better get her life in order outside of skating.
I would rage.
So she goes back to Galooly, and this is kind of what I feel like sets the scene for the whole attack. She goes back to him. She didn't love him. She didn't want to. She was just basically faking it until she got her spot at the Olympics. And he didn't know that. He thought she just wanted to be back with him, whatever. Well, apparently he comes in one day during a practice of hers, and he overhears her teammates' parents talking about her, saying she's faking her relationship with him. She's just doing it for the image. Once the Olympics are over, she's going to leave him. And Tonya said that that's when he decided he was going to get her back by planning the assault on her main rival, who was Nancy Kerrigan.
So she's saying she didn't have anything to do with it.
She's saying that he knew that if that happened to her main rival, everybody would think it was her, and he did it to try to like ruin her.
I wonder if that could be true. Wow.
I don't know.
Huh. I never,
I feel like if you watch her talk about it, she's a little shady.
Oh.
And maybe I'm wrong.
So that's her way of trying to get out of it. Is just saying that he had done it. I mean, that's a pretty good...
It is. And maybe it's true. Maybe she didn't have a thing to do with it. So yeah, she said that... I don't know. I don't know if I believe it.
Yeah. That's a bit of a stretch.
It makes sense, but then it's like...
Is he smart enough? I mean, I don't know anything about the guy, but that's pretty inventive. Like, is he smart enough to,
I don't know. Interesting. Okay, so now, before we get into the attack, we're going to talk about Nancy, because Nancy and Tonya... It almost is like polar freaking opposites with how they were raised and grew up, and maybe not, but everything. And you can't find as much on Nancy. It's all kind of surrounding Tonya. But anyway, Nancy's born in Stoneham, Massachusetts, October 13th, 1969. She's the youngest of 3, and she's the only girl. So she said that she would tag along with her brothers when they went to the ice skating rink to play hockey. So she started on the ice playing hockey with her brothers. And then that background in ice hockey made it easy for her to just kind of transition right into figure skating at 6. She started skating at 6. She said when she was 9 that an instructor commented on her talent. So then her parents really kind of started watching and like investing into her career. And then at 9, she won the Boston Open. Well, after that, she goes on to compete in regional and national competitions. And this kind of got costly. So her dad would do like odd jobs, take out loans to help her pay for it, whatever. And she said that because her family had sacrificed so much, she really just threw everything she had into it. She said she would get up to train at 4 a.m. before going to high school. And, she said after high school, or it said after high school, she went to college. She majored in business. And then while she was working on her bachelor's degree, she continued to work toward her Olympic dreams, and then she entered and won the National Collegiate Championships. So it's just weird how almost completely opposite. They're not that Nancy didn't have her own struggles and whatever, but you can just tell it's just a world of difference.
Their upbringing, and then she goes to college and
Tonya's out here having to hunt her food. I don't know, it's weird. So then a couple months later, she won a bronze medal at the U.S. Olympic Festival. And then the next year, she got gold, which earned her the right to represent the United States at the 1992 Winter Games in Albertville, France. Well, in Albertville, she earned a bronze medal, and then she won her first national title at the U.S. Nationals in Phoenix. And then, she was
doing really well.
Yeah, she seems to be kind of at the top of her game, like, she's killing it. Well, in 1993, she has a poor performance at the World Games in Prague, and it sent her down to 10th place. So then this is national TV. She's on national TV, humiliated. Like, the camera crews are in her face, and she said, "I just want to die." And then they said, I didn't see it, but then they said she, like, stormed off in tears and, like, was just tore all the way down. She said this kind of made her more determined than ever to make her parents proud and kind of pay them back for their sacrifices or whatever. So she returns to training, and she's more, like, excited and ready to prove herself or whatever. So she talks with, like, a sports psychologist. She limits her public appearances, just really, like, throws herself into being the best that she can be, like, not letting any outside sources get in or whatever. So that pays off, and then she lands 2 big wins at the major international competitions at the end of 1993. And then 1994, baby, is when the attack happens. So in the documentary at the very beginning, the first guy that's talking, I can't remember who he is, but he said that Tonya was skating's blackest mark and biggest gift, because a lot of people said nobody gave a shit about figure skating until this happened.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like she put it...
It made it interesting. I mean, not that it's not interesting, but it's, controversy, so it's going to be...
Yeah, like they said that was like the biggest and most, like, widely known, which I'll get to all that, but it shook.
I remember it being like all over the news all the time. They played her saying that over and over and over.
Yeah.
Like,
and one of the guys said, thank God for her, because she gave us one of the greatest dramas of all time, as long as you're not Nancy Kerrigan.
Oh, wow.
So it's like people are kind of making jokes about it.
Yeah.
So when they're talking about the attack or whatever, Tonya makes a comment and she says, "Do you think if someone knew that was going to happen that they could go out there and skate?" But she seems kind of fake about it. She's like, of course no one could go out there and skate knowing that they had planned an attack like that. Like, it just seems a little...
Like, girl.
We'll put on girl. I don't know. I'm not accusing because I don't know. But she claims that if she knew about that, of course she couldn't go out there and skate. Like, what? But anyway, so Tonya, right now, or when the documentary went down, she wasn't skating professionally anymore. She just said she's kind of trying to gain people's respect and blah, blah, blah. She said that she was the best female figure skater in the world at the time. So she's not going to just disappear. You know, she said she's got this fighting spirit. No matter what you say, she's not just going to disappear. She's real cocky, which I don't blame her. I mean, she probably was, but... And I think a lot of it, too, maybe her kind of trying to come across that way because of everything that's happened. But anyway, okay, so January 6, 1994, the attacks happen. It's 6 weeks before the Lillehammer Olympics and 2 nights before the conclusion of the U.S. Figure Skating Championships, which I think determine who gets to go to the Olympics.
Oh, okay.
So, Nancy Kerrigan, it's not funny.
It's not, but...
It's not funny. But she was clubbed on the knee by a man with a collapsible metal baton. She was coming out, like, to the rink or whatever from her room or whatever it was. And this guy's, like, hiding in the shadows and, like, creeps out and whaps her on the knee. Tonya claims to have been napping at the time. She had no idea what was going on. She was completely unaware. And she wasn't there. We know that. She wasn't there. But, okay, so this, obviously, Nancy was forced to drop out. So Tonya says, well, she was scared, too. She said, there's people out here whacking bitches in the knee. And
somebody hits me in my knee.
I was scared that I was going to get attacked. So she said she skated very poorly.
Did they catch that guy?
Oh, yeah.
They caught him, like, right away.
Oh.
I can't remember.
They figured it out. Listen. So, she said she was able to just put her fear behind her.
Oh, okay.
And she becomes the 1994 national champion.
Well, how about that?
Which obviously secures her a place at the Olympics. Well, a couple days later, people start to,
Tonya.
They start to point fingers at Miss Tonya. And that's when she said, well, nobody can know something like that was going to happen and then go out there and skate perfectly. They just couldn't do it. then she says she starts to worry that she'll lose her chance to go to the Olympics because people are just wanting to blame her. They just want somebody to blame, and they're just going to blame her.
Dare they?
Okay, so the FBI investigates this for 6 days, and then that's when a man named something Eckhart, I didn't put his name in here, he ain't really, he's the one that did it. Or no, Eckhart is the man that admits to hiring a man to commit the crime, but he says that Gillooly and Harding are the masterminds behind the attack, and they were just kind of playing it out. Well, Gillooly surrenders and basically, I guess, admits to it, and then,
what a dirty, rotten stool pigeon.
I'm telling you, people go crazy. Media, like, just in a frenzy to get Tonya. They're, like, really hating on her. How could you do this?
Yeah.
Well, they said in the documentary this was the first really big scandal to come out in the United States. Like, this was before OJ. Not sure if it was before the whole Bill and Monica thing. I don't really remember. I think it
probably was.
So this is huge, and like I said before, people were saying nobody noticed figure skating until this. Harding denied it, and she was still allowed to go to the Olympics. They didn't have full proof that she did it.
They about have to let her go.
So she went. Well, Nancy Kerrigan is healed at this time, and they just grant her a spot on the team.
And that's been how long in between the assault and the...
I think it was like 6 weeks. It wasn't whole long. Which was stupid. But what they were doing was trying to... They thought that it would mess her up. They probably thought that it would hurt her, but that she would still go out there and try and then not get the points or whatever. Mm-hmm. But instead, she didn't go at all, and then they just granted her a spot on the Olympic team.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So, kind of backfired on them a little bit.
But like 6 weeks, I was thinking it was like a major injury, but it, if she healed within 6, that's a pretty good span.
They said that it caused bruising to the muscle and tissues and swelling. Didn't break anything. Didn't put her down.
Yeah.
But again, the shoelaces on Tonya's skates break, and she ends up losing her chances of winning the Olympics.
Maybe they should have been looking at Nancy.
I don't know.
The shoelaces.
I don't know. A woman from Ukraine won, and then Nancy Kerrigan won silver, and Tonya placed 8th.
Oh, wow.
So after all that, she still placed 8th. Yeah.
Man.
Sucks. So upon her returning to the U.S., she pleads guilty to conspiracy to hinder the prosecution, which meant that she knew who had done the attack, but she only knew afterwards, and she didn't immediately report it to the police.
That's all they had her on at the time, I guess.
That's all. I'm still suspicious, but the prosecution did believe that she was way more involved, but they accepted the plea since that included a felony charge. She was sentenced to 3 years of supervised probation, 500 hours of community service, a $100,000 state fine, and she was tasked with setting up a $50,000 fund to benefit the Special Olympics. She had to reimburse the whoever the prosecutor's office, I don't know how to say that, Multnomah. Either way, she had to reimburse the prosecutor's office $10,000 in costs. She had to undergo a psychiatric examination, and then participate in any court-ordered treatment. And then she was forced to surrender her membership to the U.S. Figure Skating Association, and they barred her for life.
Oh, my God.
For life. And she was also stripped of that 1994 title that she had won.
I get it, but that's like, for somebody that's worked their whole life, that's a huge,
Yeah. And the men all got prison time for, like, racketeering and assault, and, they went to jail. Tonya says that she's sorry and ashamed that someone she was so close to could have done such a thing. And then, February 1998, the two women sit face-to-face for the first time in a Fox interview. And Tonya sort of asks for forgiveness from Nancy and her family during the interview. And she said that it was all about taking everything away from her. She still blamed Gillooly. She didn't know he was just trying to ruin her life, blah, blah, blah.
So she's still not, if she did it, if she had it done, she's still not accepting any kind of really responsibility for it.
No, but she's asking for forgiveness, which is suspicious to me.
If you don't do something, you don't ask for forgiveness for it.
Yeah. And I do think she said later that she wished she hadn't done that. Of course. So she still blames Gillooly, doesn't take any responsibility. So now or at the time, I don't know if she still is, but she then got into female boxing.
I had forgot about that. She really did.
Yep. She said that it was really dark days after she was told she couldn't skate anymore. And then one of the producers on this documentary are talking about how Mike Tyson can bite an ear off and still get to box, but Tonya is just kind of accused of being a part of this attack and gets banned for life. Tonya has this kind of attitude like it just is what it is. You got to keep going. You know, she's part of life.
She's scrappy.
Yeah. At this point, she said she's kind of broke. She has nothing to going for her, so why not? So, you know, the boxing is paying the bills. It's, you know, paying her rent, so why not? So she ends up on some sort of celebrity boxing match thing, which is where the main event for one of those episodes is her boxing Paula Jones from the Bill Clinton scandal. Paula Jones was like the first person to like accuse Bill.
Yeah.
And she ends up fighting her. I think she lost.
I was going to say, I wonder who won it.
Well, Tonya said they're just supposed to kind of be sparring. Well, Paula whaps her, and she goes, honey, she said, bitch is on, and she chased that bitch around the ring. Like, she said it was she said watching it back, it was kind of embarrassing because she's just chasing her around the thing.
I'm going to have to go watch that.
Yeah.
That is hilarious.
So then, after that, promoters start contacting her about like a professional... No, hold on. I think her fight with Paula Jones is what made them notice her and offer her the professional chance or whatever. So then she opens up for Mike Tyson. She lost, but she continues to like work on her performance or whatever.
I wonder how much money she made off of that kind of thing, you know?
But she says that now boxing is her livelihood and she just wants to be as good as she can be. I don't think she's still doing this. This was back when they did that documentary. But she says she's still an athlete. You know, she still wants to be seen as an athlete. And she said that a lot of people say that, you know, America and the world's always going to remember her for what happened to Nancy, and she'll never be forgiven for that. So it's like no matter what she does. Yeah. Somebody said in the thing she could cure cancer. People are still going to remember her for what happened to Nancy. So then she says that she's learned over the years, though, that any publicity is good publicity. Mm-hmm. She says that God has a plan for her on this planet, so she's just rolling with the punches and doing what she's got to do. She says she can't trust anybody. And she said at one point that she knows that for the rest of her life until she dies, she knows people are going to be making money off of her and like, you know, all that happened or whatever.
I kind of feel bad for her, you know? I don't know.
I feel very bad for her.
It's tough being the underdog and being poor and people making fun of you. And I don't know, I feel bad for her.
I do too. And she says that revenge is the best success. So that's what she's trying to do. She said it's not about money or cars. It's about living happy. And she said she's happy. So that's really, you know.
She's happy.
So then in 2018, New York Times posts an article that's called Tonya Harding Would Like Her Apology Now. I mean, that's the same year she did that sit-down interview with, like, ABC or whatever. So she's married. Her name is now Tonya Price. I think at the time, she had a 6-year-old son. She married Joe Price, or she met him in 2010, and then they got married. And she said that she has done all these interviews with E! And Oprah and all of them, and she said they all claim, like, to get her in the door, like, hey, we're going to let you tell your whole story, tell the story of, like, your upbringing and your career and all this. But she said at the end, it ultimately boils down to, well, you know, did you do it? Didn't you do it? Did you know more than you said? Or, you know, did you plan the attack? Are you sorry? Blah, blah, blah. It's always, no matter what, it always just turns right back around to that. So she said she was glad to be able to sit down and do the interview with them and kind of really talk about what happened. She said that after all that went down, she had rats put in her mailbox. She said people were like leaving literal shit at her door, putting poop on her trucks. She said if you name it, it's been done.
That's scary too.
She said sometimes she still pulls up at traffic lights and men will make like oral sex gestures at her in the car.
Like, even now?
Yeah, well, in 2018. She even said that during the 2007 presidential primaries, Barack Obama used her name as a verb, talking about metaphorically kneecapping the competition. He said something about like Tonya Harding. He was going to Tonya Harding the competition or something like that.
Can you imagine?
I can't remember exactly. I need to look it up and see exactly what he said, but it was something like that.
And too, after all the, I mean, that's been a long time ago.
But she said that for as many people as like don't care about her, she's got just as many that do. She said that a lot of times I think she might live in Canada now, because she said there's a ice rink in Canada where I guess she goes and like coaches the little girls and like helps them, and a lot of the parents say she's a really good influence on them, and the girls there love her. Every time she comes in, they're hugging her, and she says that she still skates, not as much as she used to. She said that her ban by the national whatever ice skating thing kind of took away a lot of what she could do, I guess. So she was limited in her options if she wanted to continue to skate.
Yeah.
So she said that, she got married and had a kid, obviously, and she said that her and her husband now spend a lot of time hunting and fishing and stuff like her and her dad did. I think her dad passed away.
She must really like doing stuff like that.
Yeah, she's just
she's still doing it.
Yeah. Okay, so then I that's where I was going to end it, but then I kind of wanted to have a little bit of what Nancy Kerrigan was doing too, because nobody talks about her.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's like she's the one that got her shit rocked, and nobody's talking about her. Nobody.
Yeah, no.
But anyway, so she in 2017 participated in Dancing with the Stars. I didn't know that.
Oh, I didn't.
She seemed like she was pretty good. I didn't watch any of it, but like from the little clips they showed, she was good. At that time too, she was working on a documentary about athletes who were dealing with eating disorders. So she has a son in 1996, and then her and her husband want to have more kids. She ends up having 6 miscarriages over 8 years, and then they ended up going to like fertility drugs, and like she talks about it on like the Dancing with the Stars thing, and is like crying because she's like, says she's ashamed that she can't do it on her own, and it's pretty sad. But then they have 2 more kids after that. She said that she has stopped skating competitively, but she does still choreograph like seasonal ice shows like Halloween and Disney, and she still helps choreograph, and I guess probably like teach the people how to do stuff like that.
So she still kind of has like a part in it,
kind of,
in a
yeah.
way,
But that's it. That's
crazy.
I know.
Wow. It's like you think about what might have been, if that one thing hadn't happened, like how their lives would have been different, especially Tonya. How things might have been different,
But it makes me wonder. It's just suspicious. Why did her skates keep breaking? Why did her shoelaces keep popping loose? And why,
somebody was trying to sabotage her.
I think so. I don't know that it was Nancy, but I feel like somebody was doing something, because if it's unheard, and they talk like it's almost unheard of for, maybe once you're going to but it's pretty well unheard of that people's skates are going to mess up like that. And hers just kept doing it.
They should track who was there each time and see, because you could pretty well tell,
And maybe maybe it's nothing, but I'm a little suspicious. But that was it.
That's interesting.
I do want to go and watch. I don't know about the I, Tonya thing. I like more documentaries,
like the real deal,
instead of like people pretending. So I may go and watch that other documentary, the newer one, and just kind of see what that's about, because it's really interesting, and I love figure skating. Like that's the only thing in the Olympics I really like to watch. I thought that was a really interesting one, just because like I had heard everybody has seen the why, but like to learn like where they both come from, and like to not really know, like, is Tonya lying? Did she really? Did they plan that?
I mean, he may have done that just to ruin her, and it worked.
I mean, if she planned it, that was a good ass excuse.
Yeah.
That he overheard somebody, and then, I mean, I don't know. If that was the case, she was smart about it.
Yeah. And I don't know, I just feel bad for her. She had a hard upbringing, poor, mama rough on her, and then everybody talking about her, and then as an adult, that kind of continued on. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just feel bad for her.
I do too. But that's it. I'd like to know what everybody else thinks.
I would too.
I'm very curious.
Yeah.
Because I just feel like it could go either way. So I don't know. But the sources will be posted. And then it'll be up on Patreon. Not sure if we're putting this one on YouTube. We'll see.
Yeah.
And then next week, Chrissy will have something new for us.
Yeah.
And I don't even know what she's doing yet.
You'll find out soon.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.